That's the $1 million question. Marco, it depends on the perspective because
Welcome to Values Beyond Time, a podcast about personal development, marketing, and entrepreneurship, exploring timeless principles that have a lasting impact. Let's go beyond the noise and discover what really matters.
Welcome to another episode of Values Beyond Time, where we explore the timeless principles that shape personal development, marketing, and entrepreneurship. In today's episode, we are taking a step inward. This is not about scaling your startup or strategy playbook. It's about self, values, emotions, and how we show up for our work and for each other. This is a conversation about the inner work, the work that helps us grow into a better version of ourselves and build deeper relationships both professionally and personally. My guest today is Alexandra Lemos. She is a pioneer in personal and professional development. She's a coach that has trained hundreds of leaders, trained over 1,000 certified coaches, and authored the powerful book, Amor Cooperative, a call to bring purpose, humanity, and emotional connection back into our workplace. Whether you're an individual looking to grow, an entrepreneur seeking clarity, or a leader striving to align your work with your values, this conversation is filled with insights to help you evolve from the inside out. Alexandra's work reminds us that success isn't just about what we build, it's how we feel while building it, which is tremendously beautiful. From her groundbreaking work in systematic coaching and corporate trauma to her research into emotional disconnection in the workplace, Alexandra brings wisdom, clarity, and a bold vision for that leadership could and should be. Let's dive into the conversation about leading from within and finding what works really matter and how it feels and it should be. So, Alexandra, thank you for coming.
Well, first of all, Marco, I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This opportunity is excellent to stand and to give my feelings, my ideas about my life, my work. And I know you are interested, and not only you. You are really touching the central theme of my life and of my work, which is values. And how can we use values and live through values to have a meaningful life, and also to not only do things right, but mainly do the right things to have values. So I'm very thankful to you.
Very well. So, Alexandra, if your journey in coaching had a soundtrack or a movie title, what would it be and why?
That's a metaphorical question, I know. Well, let's think about a movie, and the title I'm suggesting will be Building Healthy Bridges.
Wow. Lovely name. But why do you choose that title?
Well, you will know after a few minutes that bridges, they are part of my life, my professional life. And also because I believe that we cannot know ourselves without being in connection with other people, with significant others, because we can understand who we are and how we act and react through the relationship and the connection, the movement of dealing with other people. Bridging and doing healthy connections through bridging to other people is the best way to know ourselves, because alone we do not know anything about ourselves on the deep level, So we really need others to be in touch with us so that we can learn a lot about us. How can I act? How do I react? How am I feeling? What am I thinking? How am I judging? How can I be free of judgment? So a healthy bridge is that journey. And of course, we want to be healthy in a lot of layers. And one of those is having a powerful, useful, and happy connections.
Beautiful. I love that. So let's talk about your beginning. What was your first personal turning point that drew you into the world of coaching and self-development?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I was working as an engineer, building the bridge on the oil hydraulic system at the Vasco da Gama bridge in Lisbon. And I really enjoyed that work. And back in the 10th of April of 1997, there was a major accident while we were building the bridge, and my colleagues died. One of those colleagues was a French colleague, a French engineer, very demanding, very professional. And I was dealing with him for about 2 years. We worked together and it was very shocking to my life. So when we were doing the celebrations on the bridge on behalf of those who passed away, unfortunately, I thought to myself, wow, I was supposed to be there working with him, but life had another mission for me, another project for me. So that was the turning point. I thought, I really want to continue doing bridges, but now I want to do it in another way. Not in a constructive way, dealing with concrete structures, trolleys and formworks. And so I was looking for what is there in the world that can help me do bridges. And so the word coaching appeared on my laptop and I was like, what is coaching all about? Then it is the beginning of the story.
Beautiful. Of course, a bit tragedy here, shocking. I think sometimes it's a wake-up call for all of us. And I think what are you doing right now is very beautiful. And the reason is that you are not building concrete bridges, but bridges between human hearts and souls.
Marco, I will sign it. That's it. You are a fast learner because you connect with people and you are also in the personal development movement. So I know that you are aligned with all what I'm going to say.
Thank you.
I'm proud of being here.
Lovely. It's an honor to have you here. So when I was looking at your impressive CV and what you have done so far, and personal development terminologies and everything, but there is something which is shining over there, which is like somatic awareness. Can you please share with our audience who are new to this term, what is somatic awareness and why is it that important in personal growth?
Yeah, well, I've studied that because I'm very curious and I want to help people on the deepest level and with professional tools and knowledge based on science because I think it is important. And so the somatic awareness is the mindful attention that you have and the conscious recognition of your physical sensations. It's all about signals within your body. And when you pay attention to how your body feels, how your body is responding to various experiences, what is happening, what are you expecting, what you are desiring. So it includes emotions, thoughts. Everything is recorded in our body. Our body is the central piece of the way we act and react. Our thoughts that trigger emotions, our traumas, our desires, our longings, everything is recorded in our body. So the somatic experience is this ability that we have to pay attention to our body and being mindful and conscious about what is the body telling us. And sometimes our bodies are screaming, stop it. Bad habits, not only beliefs, limiting beliefs, they are habits of thought, but also habits that damage our cells, like smoking, not sleeping, like drugs and so on. When we pay attention to our body, because we have this beautiful body, like our avatar in this world, so we should take care of our body. And sometimes you have your cognitive thinking pointing towards saying yes, but your body first said no. And then you fail. And then you said, oh my God, I had that trigger in my body and I didn't pay attention to. So instead of being regretting not paying attention to our body, when we study somatic experience, we kind of honor our body. Our body is so pure, it doesn't have a filter. It doesn't have a bias. So we should pay attention to our body. Somatic experience is that ability to look at our body, be aware, be mindful, and start flowing with the body because our body is very intelligent.
Nice. I think it makes a lot of sense. If I summarize what you said, I think is like we need to answer the call of our body.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we ignore it because we tend to say yes to many things. We want to please other people, but in the meantime, the body is saying no. But ignoring that, it will lead us to a lot of disasters, especially burnout that is quite common here.
We could avoid a lot of disasters and regrets in our life if we were able to really pay attention to what our body is telling us. It's the most important part, and we need to be in touch with that. But our eyes look outside of us, so we have a tendency to just be triggered by what's happening outside of us. And when we study somatic experience, and I applied it in my coaching sessions and trainings, we start just moving our eyes inside to see what's happening. It's really a source of beautiful, pure, the nurturing information to allow yourself to be conscious and to have, the ability to do what is right for you and do things right.
Very well. So let's talk about systems like somatic experiences and emotional intelligence. How these have helped your personal journey and in your coaching? How do you apply this to your clients, to the leaders that you teach, and also the trainers? So how would you use these in terms of enhancing their abilities? And as you said, to turn their eyes inward and see themselves, how should they react?
Yeah. It would take me, Marco, about 20 years to explain you. Well, but to summarize, I would say that the more science you know about how our body works, our feelings, our connections, the better you will be as a helping hand on the relationship process of helping others. So, in fact, I'm very curious, but I also want to be delivering the best I can. So I started to study Jung. I really love him. And I started to use a lot of models and tools like the shadow model, the archetypes, the connection, because we have a highway between our ego and our self, which connects to the biggest umbrella, which is the unconscious of everybody. So we have the self and the connection between others. And it helped me really to apply that, because when I'm working with somebody, I don't see where those coaches are presently. I can work based on their potentials. I am not focusing on the problem, on the complaint, on what is missing, what is absent. I'm opening my mind as a facilitator, because I don't have the answers. I just ask questions and use other people's body, emotions and thoughts, because I'm like the coach that drives them from, the present state to the desired state. And they are the ones that are driving, the coach. This is the metaphor. And to do that, I really focus on their potential. Those tools are used based on human potential. I can already create the field of connection where a healthy environment is allowed so that people can grow. I use Carl Jung's psychology tools. I use psychometrics like the DISC assessment. I use systemic coaching from the Bert Hellinger, because I studied in the Netherlands. Well, I would be 20 years talking with you about this, and it's not so easy to tell you how do I really put it into practice. But this is a melting pot of knowledge, science-based, because I come from science. I'm also a spiritual person based on my mission, my purpose. How can I help others? Spirituality in the meaning of values, meaning making, and being connected to a broader perspective of life. Not only we are born and we eat, we marry, we have children, we go to work, and then we die. That's not enough for me.
Yeah.
So I use this science to be the best I can be. And I apply tools, because I created my own tools using an integration of parts, because I use the ICC model, International Coaching Community, founded by Joseph O'Connor and Andrea Lages, because I represent that entity in Portugal. And this is the huge, amazing non-profit organization. This is a multinational present in the 5 continents, and we are here for 25 years now. I learned from a lot of sources, and the way I deliver my coaching is by integrating all the parts. To approach the client's subjects and goals, it is always a systemic approach, integrating a lot of tools. It's not so easy to explain how I put it into practice, but if somebody is curious, just contact me and I will explain it in a coaching session, because it's a lot of details and inputs from Peter Levine, the guy that founded the Somatic experience, from NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. So we have a lot of science-based interventions, and that's the way I do it.
Wonderful. Thanks for the explanations. Because you talked about values in this part, I want you to share with us, what does it truly mean to work in alignment with your values? And how can you start your journey? Imagine there's someone who is like 25. He wants to build a new career for himself. What does it mean to be aligned with your personal values and get a job in the market which there's no conflict in you personally?
That's it. Marco, you said the right word. Living through values and by values is to allow a path of not being in conflict with. And when you are not in conflict, you are into your inner peace and you can be more productive, more effective, and you can dynamize better work at the workplace. So being aware of values, they define our identity. They define our boundaries. They make us jump out of bed and run towards what we really enjoy. You can work getting close to the pleasure of life and taking the best out of yourself to be an added value to others, or you can just do stuff because you have bills to pay. You are not doing what really takes the best out of you. So knowing values, I would say it is the core component of coaching, because when somebody is talking to me and tell me, Alexandra, I want to achieve this goal. Of course, we need to clarify what the goal is for that person. And then as soon as possible, I will ask questions to identify the core values behind the goal. Why is this so important to me? What is the meaning of this? What for am I doing this? Who do I become when I achieve this goal? And the answers just produce the goals, and we should be aligned with our goals. Otherwise, we are not doing what flows. When you are doing extra effort to achieve your goals, you are not living your values. So we need to stop. And a young person, as you said, about 25 years old, should be aware of this. Otherwise, when it's too late, sometimes people are in disease mode, they are being divorced, they are into conflict mode with the company, they are being gaslighted, they don't know how to be affirmative, assertive, they have low self-esteem, they are doing just that because they need to do it, and you start to be on a rat wheel, don't know what is our real value. You end up spending a lifespan without being into the healthy mode. Values define your identity. They define what is important to you. They help you run towards with energy, with motivation, with commitment, with the willingness to do the best of yourself. Also, they stop you when somebody is in conflict with your values. They give you boundaries, because if you value honesty and somebody at workplace invites you to do something that is not accordingly to an honest movement, you say no. So saying yes to stuff or to things or to situations and also saying no, it's all about values. I had a coachee, he told me, one of the main value is my family. So I'm a hard worker because I want to be a helping hand to my family. I don't want my kids to have the problems and the lack of resources that I had in my times when I was young. So I work in two places so that I can earn a lot of money to pay all the bills and be able to give a very good education to my sons. And I asked him, what is the time that you spend with them? And he was like, well, I'm just working. So he was so focused on his goal that he forgot to live the main value. Where do I see my family? I don't have time for them. Sometimes we forget to live important values towards heading our goals. Doing coaching work and having somebody helping us define and identify values, it's very, very important, because as you see, Marco, values define our identity. Who am I as a worker if I don't know my identity and if this is right for me? Am I doing things right, or am I doing the right things? That's a huge difference. When you identify your values, you really know who you are, who you want to be, with whom we want to connect and do the healthy bridges, and what is allowed and what is not. We respect more when somebody is assertive with us rather than somebody that is always saying yes and doesn't know who he or she is. So values are the core, the fundamental, I would say, elements of a coaching work.
Very well. I love what you said, what you were saying about the foundational of identity. But let's step back a bit and understand, how can we help the young people, let's say a 20-year-old girl or boy, to define his or her values? Because I think what is missing currently is a bit having proper mentors, coaches, and role models, especially the young ones. As a female, what do you think can be done to help these young people develop these characteristics, which is based on a foundation of values? which these values are defined by them, not only by their families, but also they have a part in forming their own values.
Yeah, well, those young people need to have a voice. They need to understand what they want. Who are they? Before being understood, we should pay attention to their voices. How? We need to have forums, workshops, programs in school on the early stages so that they can learn about values. Because in our schools, we are trained to be good technicians, to be good in the operational and the technical part, but not so good emotional self-development, being aware of values, being aware of the body. It should be the core teachings. So how can we help them? Well, we can foster a movement or a project about being able to help engaging in coaching programs, in mentoring programs, and align with that. I belong to one of those. I belong to the association Começar Hoje. This is a very interesting group in Portugal with a lot of CEOs and demanding people, very organized, excellent people, I would say. They live through values and by values. And we are doing a lot of events in schools with about 200 students, and we talk about that. Who are you? What is your voice? What do you value? What do you want to achieve and why? Who do you become? What motivates you? What is inspirational to you? Where do you want to be? Who are you? And sometimes they are very shy, but then at the end they are like, wow, now I know a little bit about myself. So we are doing these programs all around Portugal in a lot of cities. Well, that's a starting point. But first of all, Marco, I would tell you that we should not only go to young people, but also to parents, teachers, and the entire society, preparing also the companies to be aware of programs of, on the onboarding process and on following them, having operational programs with coaches and mentors, driving them to be aware of who am I. And of course, we don't know ourselves only by values and through values. We know ourselves dealing with the way we act and react when we are engaging in teams, in groups, at workplace, in families, in the social environment. This is a work in progress, never ending, but we should start seriously and consciously a program helping people to stand the values. And also before marrying, because when they marry, if they are not aligned with, the soulmate, I would say another problem is appearing in our scenario. Mental diseases, sadness and worries, and we should avoid this. Of course, we are never going to avoid all the troubles in our life because troubles and trauma are part of our life. If we lived in a very happy, fulfilled environment with no problems, probably we would never know who are we. So we can help youth people and all the systemic approach. This is not only targeted to one audience, but also everyone connecting all around and the significant others that they deal with.
Very well. I love the way you put it, because I think it's foundational to work not only with the young ones, but also parents, and bring on board employers, because we are not living in a vacuum environment. Obviously, we are living in a society, and we need to put what we learn in practice. Otherwise, we do not know if you really know that. When I was reading about your work, you often talk about the system behind the system, which is about the unconscious patterns, family dynamics, and also the emotional triggers. Why is it important to bring this to awareness?
Well, because as you said, we are not atomistic, not even molecules. We are complex. Using the metaphor of chemistry, everybody has a lot of layers because we have a lot of personas, like masks. You have the professional mask, you have the social mask, you have the personal mask, you have a lot of masks. And what matters is that you have flexibility interpersona, like Carl Jung said. Now I'm just explaining some tools. Imagine that you are analyzing people as a therapist all day, and then you get home and you continue to analyze your wife, your kids. You don't take your mask. So it's good to know the system behind the system, which is being flexible and flowing through the lot of layers and roles you have in your life, because we are not just our jobs. We are not just our family. We are not just our time with ourselves. We are not just our recreative time doing our hobbies. We are not just our social time. We are We are a lot of pieces, like a puzzle, putting all together. Of course, we are connecting with other people that they also have this dynamic. So this is a very complex environment. And when you look with a broader horizon to all these layers, you work the system behind the system, because sometimes you have a conscious part and you have, an unconscious part. You could pay attention to other people's problems. You have a connection in your neuronal system, and you can be afraid. You have your own experience, like a collective consciousness. So a lot of layers here. So you have the self, the ego, you have the connection, and you also have the culture environment, which also models you, because it's different if you were born or in Japan, or or in Portugal. And this is not so easy, because you are a system of beliefs. Some beliefs are very powerful, and they drive you to move forward your goals, and to have a place in society, and to be responsible, ethical, to work with integrity. And other influences can put you down, and your own limiting beliefs. What was the storytelling of your father and mother, your teachers, or a cousin? So everything that we are collecting when we are babies, they define who we are going to be. And we have also our personality, but we are modeled by those significant others that raise us and educate us. That complexity of human beings really astonishes and attracts me, and I really want to be engaged into those healthy bridges. That's why I chose the title of the movie. And so there are systems behind the systems, because when you have an employee doing some work at the workplace, that's not only the function of the employee. That person could be thinking about the kids that it left at school, some problem with the father or mother, some stuff that is happening in the relationship at home. And we need to look at human beings on a holistic form, right? And we have a lot of layers. They are beautiful. And sometimes you can open soft windows of memory. Sometimes that they are not so soft. So they are killer windows. You have a lot of thoughts on a daily basis, and we just need to put all the thoughts and be in control of our lives, being conscious, being able to observe the thinker and say, I want to put my focus here. And there is good news here, which is nobody can think on behalf of ourselves. So we need to be in charge of that process. We need to drive our car, to drive our coach. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I do, and I love it.
Yeah, I can see all the passion.
Yeah, I learn a lot, because this is a spherical movement. I'm not a mastermind. When I interact with my coaches, what comes back to me is a lot of learning. And sometimes I say, oh my God, I should be paying this session, because I've learned a lot. And so that's beautiful. That's the layer behind the layer.
Yeah, when you talk about layers, it reminds me of my metaphor. Sometimes I say that people are like onions. They have layers over layers. Not the fact that they smell, but the fact that they have a lot of complications.
Yeah, and that's why this is so beautiful, because imagine it was an easy process, no challenge involved.
So talking about professional environment, what is one emotional skill that you think professionals often underestimate, but that can transform how they lead and connect with others?
Well, when we talk about emotions, you need to talk about your patterns of thought, your beliefs, because every emotion is triggered by a connection, a bridge that you do with the environment. So you think about something, and then the emotion triggers. And this is an emergent emotion. You cannot avoid emotions. Nobody can. And luckily, they are here to save us, because if you are into the fear mode, one of the emotions is because something is happening that you should run or fight or freeze. I would say that emotions, they are our guiding system across our lifespan. You cannot avoid emotions, but you can manage the length of the emotion. How many minutes do I want to be into anger mode? Because you can be into the anger field for 20 years and it will somatize in your skin. You start to have problems. And sometimes people are not aware of that. So one of the biggest emotional intelligence skill is to be, again, aware of the body, because our automatic nervous system, they trigger emotions. You cannot control that. You just can manage. So if you are happy, if you are joyful, please Put it longer. Keep yourself focusing on the joyful moments that you feel. But if you are sad, if you are angry, if you are afraid of something, you are into fear mode, our emotional skill is, what am I feeling? What is the source of this? Because there was a movement, and that movement was a bridge of a thought. So, okay, this is the one little trigger that triggered my emotion. And then you ask, is this useful for me? Is it a benefit, or is it just causing some trouble in my workload today? If it is not useful to you, you can say, stop it. You are stopping the source of the emotion, the thought. You can have a thought of, I'm not appreciated. I'm not enough. As much as I do is never enough. They don't like me. Those kind of inner beliefs that trigger a lot of emotions of fear, they will stop you from showing you best self. So I would say that the most beautiful resource you can have, and you are the only one that can trigger that, is being able to be aware of that, a true touch with your body, and ask, wow, I'm feeling sad. Why? What happened? I know. Yeah, one colleague called me 5 minutes ago, and he told me about something that is not going well in the world, in the politics, in the economics. And I was like, okay. So now I'm feeling that resonance because my thought was triggered that. And I say, stop it. I don't need it now. And we can say to our mind, I will give you attention later. Now I need the full attention, the full focus towards what I'm doing. Okay. So we disconnect with that thought. And of course, we can manage our emotion, jumping into another emotional level. And this is not like one step in a time. This is a progress, because you can jump from the fear mode to the frustration mode to the disappointing mode, and then this is a kind of a layer that you are just jumping. And I teach that also. And it's beautiful because this is like an elastic movement, and nobody can tell that, no, I'm aware, I'm never angry, I'm never into fear mode. That's not true. Otherwise, that person would be a robot, and we are human. So we just need to be intelligent enough when we are able to accept the bad thoughts, the ones that are limiting us. Then the energy goes to a point where you say, and you can laugh. Oh, I know. So the best you can do in the emotional intelligent level is being aware of yourself and being aware that life is a movement. I wouldn't say a roller coaster of emotions, because you need to be into balance mode, but you understand when you are on the high level of emotions like love, appreciation, positive anxiety, because I know something is going to happen. I'm feeling it here. And of course, scientists from the field of heart math are realizing that we have a lot of neurons in our heart. So the decision-making process also belongs to our heart, to our emotions. And how do we connect these two axes, emotions and thought? I would say that our heart thinks even more than our brain is able to feel. It's like a metaphor. So that's it. Just be human and enjoy life and accept the 7 basic emotions. As Paul Ekman said, we are born with these skills. If you change culture, they are equal. You are not avoiding emotions. You are trying to understand them, to integrate them in your daily basis. And of course, the ability to observe what's happening here in your body. Imagine this is your body. What is happening in my body? It's like an external positioning where you can observe yourself as if your body is an avatar on earth. It's amazing.
That's such a beautiful technique and quite practical. Our thought is usually running in 2 directions, either going to the past, analyzing what happened in the past. Sometimes it's regret, sometimes it's just checking what we have done. It can be like a few minutes ago, it can be years ago, or we can go and anticipate the future. So the mind is hardly present, especially with the distractions that we have. We give all these short dopamines to our head, like short pieces of content and everything, because we cannot sit alone for a short period of a time, because we need all these encouragements from outside to just lead us to a peace of mind mode, because I'm running away from reality. So I always tell myself, you need to bring yourself to the present moment. That's emotional awareness is quite challenging. You say that, stop it. Like sometimes, for example, there's a conflict in your relationship outside, and then I tell myself, how long do you want to be sad or upset? You can be sad for 5 minutes. Okay. But then do you want to ruin the whole evening because someone said something to you? No, it's a peak of emotions, and you have to stable it, like you said.
That's an option. And the best news is that you can decide. Nobody can do it for you. And that's what I teach people, because of course our mind is like a monkey jumping from past to present to the future, right? Of course, seeing future as you want the future to be is having a vision. You should see it in a proper manner on the side of the solution, where you can see your best self, where you can see you being abundant in every area of your life, health, relationship, your money, all of that. And we can have that choice, and we can choose to head towards that. But sometimes when we are not aware, we can say, I don't know what is happening. There's something strange inside of me, as if something inside me is controlling me. That's not that. Nobody controls us. If we want to really develop a very useful and pure life and be aware of the power of now, we should have our life, in our hand. And that's all about self-development. That's the key element. To understand who I am, where my thoughts are flying to, where am I putting my energy? Tony Robbins says that your energy flows where your attention goes. So if our thoughts are on the past, at least put your thoughts on good things that happen, because you can choose the quality of your thoughts. It's beautiful. Touching humans on the leading edge of thought, on creation. Otherwise, we would be in the Stone Age. So progress is like letting thoughts flow towards what is useful for humanity. And I really like progress, evolution. I like those thoughts. But of course, a lot of people, they are still thinking about what is not there, with a victim mentality, without knowing that they have the ownership of their life, until a day where they find out, I really can move the movement of my thoughts and put myself in the power of now to do the best version of myself in a moment, because the future doesn't exist. Marco, because within the next 20 minutes, we will finish this. Why am I worried about the finish? Why am I not here paying attention to you to be useful? Otherwise, I would be with a lot of anxiety, and the level of my performance and my conversation would go down. Why? Is it beneficial? No. So why put my energy on the future, or what did I do yesterday? This is an option.
Yes, totally agree with you. Better to use your intelligence for you, not against you.
Yeah. That's it.
If you want to offer any DIY tool or a way to help people start this progress, work on myself, where should I start?
Well, first, of course, awareness is the key element, because you can only see what you are aware of. Otherwise, you cannot see it. It's a filter we have in our brain. It is the reticular activation system. That's why when women are pregnant and they are walking on the street, they think, oh my God, everyone is pregnant, because they are paying attention to you, the one that is pregnant, because that's their situation. This is, explained by neuroscience. And so, first of all, be aware of our thought forms. That's amazing. We need to reach that by a meta position, which is the ability to observe ourselves. And then if something wrong happens in our life, and I can say, oh my God, this is really bad, and I created this, being responsible for this, because it is all a pathway of bad thoughts. This is the first movement where you say, why not changing the quality of that thought form towards something that is beneficial? Not being angry about creating bad situations, using that as a learning tool. I was in scarcity. I was, thinking what is absent. I was with a lack of resources. I don't have enough friends. I don't have a network. We start to think about, well, it's so easy to create good stuff than bad stuff. So why do I choose bad stuff? This is the negative bias. And that's the first movement, is being aware of this dance with life. You are putting seeds on the land, and then you wait for nature to flourish. And that's the same thing in our mind. So the first step is accepting the bad stuff and being aware that we are responsible for that, not only on the individual consciousness, but also in the collective consciousness. Because if you arrive to a post office and you are very happy, you just want to send a letter, imagine. But everybody is complaining about machines not working, computers. Suddenly, if you go to that collective consciousness, you start being trapped into it. This is a trap. Your energy drops and you say, oh yeah, that's a problem. So you want to join everyone that is on the lowest level. That's an option. And it, in fact, happened to me. I was at the post office to send a letter at lunchtime that everybody was complaining. And I said, oh my God, I just want to send my letter. So I was like, okay, calm down, Alexandra, breathe, be aware of your emotions and the way that you are reacting to this, not being nervous, not being with the willingness to attack everybody and to say bad things about everybody. And I was smiling. And then I put my attention in one of the officers and said, please, I just want to send a letter. Can you do it for me? Because it was my time. I take the ticket. And I changed the subject. And I said, oh, this is a beautiful place. You are doing a very good job. And suddenly my channel of intervention was very good because I was not putting so much trouble into my scene, So that was an option, but you need to be aware of the matrix around you.
Awareness is the first step, and accepting where you're standing and knowing where are you going.
That's it. Never refuse it, because whatever you refuse is like your black shadow. Your shadow is always following with you. You cannot avoid your shadow. But you know something? If you have a shadow, it's because light is touching you. Where is shadow? There is light. So where do you want to look? That's it. That's a kind of perspective. And you are the chooser. You are the author of your life. So you can have a victim strategy mentality or an ownership mentality strategy. And I consciously choose, Marco, being on the path of least resistance, which is going towards a good movement in my life where I can see the resources I have to assemble a personal intervention in relationship with life, and integrates my husband, my kids, my friends, my co-workers, my partnerships, all the stakeholders around. And you can be that light in the night.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful.
You can have an option to be in the dark side. And nobody should be judging that, because everyone has the right to wake up at a certain moment. And that's why I never complain and I never criticize people. They are on their path. And I had my time, they will have theirs. So the only thing I can do is be into the inner peace mode, where I choose consciously my thoughts, because I know they will trigger good emotions for me. And when bad emotions appear and emerge on my body, I deal with them. And I said, stop it. I understand where you come from. Because my little monkey on my head was having some troubles, the traffic, the weather, whatever, something that somebody told me. We have a boundary around us. I would say this is a psychogeographic boundary, because I also use it as a tool. Everything we think about, we can put it into a place, a physical place, So you have your boundary more or less like this distance of your hand. And if somebody is offending you, it's like a arrow being thrown towards your boundary. Their power stops when your power towards yourself begins. And that's what I do. And values help people to understand what is the limit, what are the boundaries that I can accept, what comes from me and what comes from others. And of course, if others tell something about me, that's their opinion. That's only one feedback. And constructing my own feedback about myself, which is being self-developed, knowing what am I doing, why am I doing this, what is the purpose of my life, is the best way to position myself, not only to myself, but also significant others, I would say. Because positioning is something that is always done, but it can start on a point of emergence based on what others think or what do I think about myself. And when you are only defined by others, you lost track of your future. That's what coaching does. And that's why values are so important, because they are, they are the constructive parts of your positioning. Not being better or worse than somebody, just having a place in the world. And we all want to have a voice, to have an identity. Some people are more introverts, some people are more extrovert, but whatever, it doesn't matter, because we belong to a system, and big changes in the system sometimes start with little changes.
Very well said. And I totally agree with you in terms of how we should create these boundaries around us. The feedback from others should not identify who we are, and the arrows that they shoot at us should not be something that could stop us from what we believe and we truly feel from within.
But also, Marco, let me just add something, because you can have blind spots. And blind spots is when you don't look for proactively speaking. When you are not looking for feedback from others, you get blind spots. Because sometimes you think that you are doing the right things, but other people do not think that because you are not paying attention and listening to people. You should understand the desires of other people you work with so that you can understand you are on the right track. And not only work based on concepts like happiness, good communication, leadership, but also align everyone on the observable behavior. So to avoid blind spots, you should be open to receive feedback about you and to understand that sometimes you are not doing what people expect from you. And instead of being aggressive, you can be assertive. So you can negotiate what's important to you. And you have a non-violent communication. That's the only pathway to inner peace and to global peace. But people, they are not used to listen.
Yeah, and that's my next question. In fact, in your beautiful book, Amor Cooperativo, you wrote about systems of dislove in organizations. Can you share with our audience what does that mean and what are some of the common examples you have observed?
Yeah, well, that book took me 9 years to write.
Wow.
Because it represents the compilation of everything I have paid attention to over 20 years of my professional life into the corporate world. So we are dealing with people. Companies are people, not only resources like laptops. Because if you leave your laptop at the company and you don't use it, you can produce another unit in another place. So people are very important. Simon Sinek says, who doesn't understand about people doesn't understand about business.
That's why we call them human capital.
That's it. My book is based on a sample of 10,300 people. So I started to see patterns of complaints, dislove, that's what I call. And I perspective a company with a body. And when we have symptoms, they are pointing towards solutions. If you have a pain in your head, probably you will take something to get rid of the pain, but the cause is there still. So companies are the same. If you have lack of communication and broken connections between departments, there will be a problem because the body of the company is a system. And so I found 55 dislove symptoms or problems or complaints. One of those is the lack of communication. People, they are not clarifying what they want. They just talk based on concepts, not on behaviors. So we need to chunk down. What do you mean exactly? When you talk about better leadership, what is better leadership? What is better? What is leadership? Can you give me an example? And are you scaling from 0 to 10? Where are you in your leadership? Based on 0, very bad leadership, 10, wow, I'm a superhero in leadership. Well, my scoring is 6. What is happening in 6? What does it mean? What are you doing? What are the results of your work? And where do you want to go, the desired state? Oh, I would like to be in an 8 within the next 3 months. So what is happening in 8 in concrete, practical terms with facts, evidences that you can bring to your leadership that is not happening in the present moment? Leaders sometimes don't delegate. They cannot inspire people. They are very intelligent people, but they don't know the right words to communicate the energy, the commitment, the values. They don't talk about values, the common vision, how to be at the service of others, how to think about long term, not only the short term. How can we have a transformative thinking, which is allowing people to learn beyond the skills they need for the job, to have continuous, learning skills and experiences, and allowing people to be creative. So symptoms of gaslighting, that's terrible because leaders are well seen by the top, but very bad to the direct reports because they want to be chiefs, not leaders. An old-fashioned way of leading people. They use power over people. Another symptom is being afraid of authority figures. You are at a company, you feel yourself with lower power, and then you don't have a voice. You are a voice without words because everything you would like to share in a meeting, you put it inside. This is also a dislove function and symptom. So I have 55, Marco. I don't know if you have more, 3 hours.
I think that would define for our audience what is corporate dislove. The first step is detecting and accepting that, okay, there is something missing. I need help. We need to reach this first state of mind saying that, okay, I think this can be done differently. I have not where I want to be because maybe something is missing. That's why I have this next question about success, because usually success in our society is being on the Forbes magazine. Success means being a billionaire, having a private jet, having this villa. The success now has very materialistic definition and metrics. But my question is this: what belief about success and performance we need to unlearn in order to feel wholesome?
Yeah, well, beings, they like to be accepted through their added value. That's one of the key points for motivation and commitment, right? I know a lot of really good influencers, but sometimes they commit suicide, they divorce, and probably they are doing some things right, but they are not doing the right things. And the right thing is being able to reach for what is my purpose in life? How can I really leave this world one day and have a legacy and having inspire people? Of course, if you can have the two pillars, which is being mentally healthy and being wealthy, what is the problem? I like people that they have everything okay, right? But success for me is being able to respond to life and to the daily challenges, being aware that you, at the end of the day, can rest in peace in a very good sleeping cycle, and you can wake up in the morning being grateful to be alive, taking care of your body, eating healthy food, being able to exercise and to do some workout, because our bodies were made with a lot of intelligence to move, not to be just seated all day in the sofa in front of a TV. That's not success. And sleeping well, dealing with good people, having good and healthy connections, and being able to define the quality of your focus with good thoughts. This is success for me. What is money for if you don't get into the peace mode at night? You can be a dealer of drug and have a lot of guns and a lot of money, but then you sleep with guns because you are always on the active mode of being hijacked in your amygdala. So you live in mode. Is that success? I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes those influencers are very young, with a lot of makeup, with a lot of tricks. And of course, life goes on. And then we go to the older stage of our life. And when we are not beautiful enough, young, it all goes downhill. There is a longitudinal study where they say that at the end of your life, if you look back, what would you do differently? Nobody's saying, I would work harder, I would just fight for money. Everybody says, I would have bet more into the good relationships so that I can be at this stage of my life and have good connections with people that nurture me and help me. Because if you are just focusing on money, you need to work, you need to act. When you are aligning yourself with your inner being and with your values, money is a byproduct because it will come. Just be responsible, do the best you can, and then you will have an audience. I prefer to have a deep audience in terms of intelligence and connection and spiritual environment, rather than a lot of people who, if you lose some characteristic, material one, they just move, Your
Yeah.
friends are those who are helping you when you don't have money. And this is being wealthy. When you have friends, even in the times you don't have money, you are not on a good shape. That's success for me.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So the next question is about leadership as a female. As a woman in leadership, what feminine leadership qualities do you believe the world needs, empowering female, especially young generations, to become more powerful in their positions?
Yeah. Well, my position about that, Marco, is about people. I don't pay attention to the gender. I don't care if you are a man or a woman, because I don't do that separation. Women were born with some characteristics because they have the milk to give to children. And so they need to stop work to pay attention to a very important area of the family, And sometimes women, they want to be like men. They want to be stronger. Why? We can be stronger with our mentality, with our willingness to be ready. So I would tell women, don't fight against men and don't fight for power or for justice with the rights that we have. Intelligent women and intelligent men, they are equal in performance when they are committed, when they are entrepreneurs. So I don't distinguish the gender because I'm not a feminist. And I really know that behind a very strong man, a very powerful man, there's always a very powerful and very strong woman. And the opposite is true also. And so I would say, ladies, just be ladies and accept that you can have a strong man in your life to help you in stuff that you are not physically ready because you have the maternity and they don't have that. Although a lot of men also have symptoms of maternity because they live it deeply. And sometimes you need to stop, and that's okay. What I say to women is just be yourself, your best self as a person. If you want to be a mother, be a mother. If you want to be engaged with loving someone as a child or as a baby, do it. It doesn't take you out of power. It gives you power.
And that's beautiful.
That's beautiful. We have the yin-yang energy. Do you know something? When I met my second husband, this is my second husband because I have been into the divorce, the best way to learn about that. And now I'm writing the second book, which is about romantic love. I'm writing it because I have my own experience. But the first thing that I bought to my new home was a very big set of tools, a hammer, everything. Like I was like in an aggressive mode, doing every step independently. And I was very proud of that. Then a man came into my life. He's very detailed and a very expert in doing arrangements, in everything at home. And at the first I was like, I can do it. I don't need you. I'm very independent. And then I said, Alexandra, please just let the man perform the male energy, which is protection, which is being able to do the hard stuff. Let him do it. And I was like, okay. So he's so perfectionist and he can do it better than me 100 times. And I said, wow, now I can relax. Because women also like to be protected. They don't like to be lower than men, of course, because we are human beings. But when it comes to, being feminine and excelling at work, we don't need to fight. When we fight against something, we create a highlight about the object of attention. So what is my recommendation? Just be a man, just be a woman, and put them together, doing the best team ever. And of course, when it comes to rewarding salaries, why should men earn more than women? Sometimes they earn more because they are better in something, and sometimes women earn more because they are better in something. So I believe in the meritocracy. You should be paid by your performance, by your skills, by your abilities, not by your gender. But of course, if there is an imbalance in society, we should pay attention to that, bring it to the table, and find some way to raise performance, not only in the men's side, but also in the women's side, which, I would say in the people's side, so that we can have a wealthy life and based on our performance.
Very well put. I totally agree with you. Earlier in the conversation, you mentioned about our bodies and how our bodies and emotions are important. So my next question is this: how can we stay connected to our bodies and emotions in a world that is often prioritizing productivity and also detachment? So basically, the main challenge is that sometimes I personally quit doing this to myself, but when I wasn't productive, I feel guilty. I would have felt guilty if I was not very productive. And of course, I went to several conversations with a couple of professionals to understand, okay, what is this mentality about? Because I'm not today being like 100% productive. Maybe I was at 25%, but at that 25%, I was completely productive.
Yeah, well, that's the problem of companies because you establish goals based only on performance deliverables. You don't care if the employee is tired, is having on the multi-layer aspect problems at home. Kids, they have diseases and sometimes they are ill, so you need to take care of them. It's a lack of communication, Marco, because today, that we have home office. Before, prior to these times, everyone should be at the office. And now you can be more productive at home because you are not distracted. You can perform your work at a long distance. What is the problem? So if leaders and companies, they establish the key performance indicator based on the deliverables instead of you need to do this today. So there is a lot of pressure pushing people towards disaster. And then you have burnout. This is the disease of the century. And burnout is leading us to where?
Nowhere.
Yeah, nowhere. A lot of studies took a lot of resources to people to perform some work compared with the focus group, a group that had everything on the leading edge of technology. They have everything. And the group that was not able to have access to resources like laptops, tables, light, and but there was a leader following up every step of the way. How are you feeling today? Do you need something from you? Can I help you? Yeah. Well, what is the problem today? Okay, let's see what we can do together. Let's build a solution together. And at the end, these two groups, the group that had everything and the other one that didn't have, but there was a difference. There was a leader following. They had the same results. Pressuring people, damaging people, criticizing, humiliating, threatening people. That's an option, a bad option, I would say. Or you can go from A to B, look at the way people feel, and you will reach better results. So I would say that is nonsense, because you can reach goals and use people as a mean to a goal, and then you commit a lot of little suicides along the way. Or you can reach the goal having happier people, and you can raise performance, your actions.
Yeah, that totally makes sense because we should be aligned with that. And my next question is about a work that feels right. Having this sensation that you work in an environment that you feel appreciated, understood, and also respected. Because the challenge here is that if you underperform, you've been questioned. Usually, companies are looking for numbers. So basically, there's always a tape to measure everything. But based on your experience of working with leaders and coaches, how can we make an environment that people feel right and also a work that it is aligned with your values?
That's the $1 million question. Marco, it depends on the perspective, because if you want immediate reward, you will arrive with the highest deliverables, the highest performance, but with that people. So on the long term, you have people that are leaving companies, they are giving you up. If people, they are not performing well, sometimes they don't have the ability, so they need to go to training. So you need to be aware of what are the needs of these people, so that I can, I can deliver a high potential using a constructive bridge with this person, because our performance equals our potential, and subtracting the interferences. And sometimes they are external, sometimes they are internal. So if you really have bad employees that they are a pain in the ass, I would say, sorry to say this, send those out of your company. But if they are really good, you need to bet on them. And then you need to bet on the late reward. And sometimes it's a working process. I know that companies, they want immediate results, but those really excellent companies have people that are loyal. Loyalty is all about, I love to be here, because there is an emotional salary, an emotional reward when people follow you up, when you have a leader that really understands you, so motivational skills should be on the hands of the leaders. This is not a lonely journey. This is a journey of a team putting all together with resources. And how do you want to achieve the goals? If you are only paying attention to the immediate reward, you are not going much, longer in your path. You just have those results, and then, companies, they change the leader, they change the team. And when you have a good leader, he knows that sometimes he needs to be between the pressure of the shareholders and the employees and all that stuff. I know, I understand that. But a better way is to be in touch with people, understand people, and commit people. And of course, through coaching tools, we can do that. That's what I do with leaders. I have a training as an international coaching certification where leaders start saying, I'm very anxious, I'm not relaxed, and I cannot say twice to my employees an instruction because I lose my patience. They need to understand. And at the end of the training, this is a 100 hours training. They say, okay, now I'm going to listen to people. So they establish the art of listening to people. And once you understand people, you are decreasing the frequency and the intensity of problems, because problems, they are addressed in meetings. You can together reach a solution. You touch the motivation, but even better than the motivation is the strength of the commitment. And when you do that, you have loyal people around you. And of course, you need to train people to have expertise and skills, basically adapt to the role. But the emotional salary is when somebody is touching you and saying, Marco, do you want to come from my company? We are just stealing you from that company and I give you 1,000 more euros per month. And you say, no, I'm good here. And you prefer to stay because you understand the values of the leaders and you understand the emotional reward. And this represents a lot of money. This is the emotional salary. And companies that they want just to be immediate, they want immediate results. They are just dragging bodies without souls, I would say this metaphor, towards the goals. And in the path, they will lose a lot of good elements because they will jump out of. And sometimes you don't pay attention to one very good element at your team, because you don't talk to that person. You don't understand the needs. You just want to be understood, but you don't understand. And then you lose them. And sometimes it's too late. And they are going to play the guitar to another company because that company is establishing a pathway based on values, on the understanding. And it has a coaching culture. They are nurturing the people and the desires. And of course, these increased values of the company. It's not just the facial value or the stock action or at the market.
I love the words that you shared here, emotional salary. That's something you cannot get everywhere. That stability that you have with the boss and with the colleagues that helps you stay there, you feel home. And again, you want to give your best to the company. And I love that. So talking about values and belief, what is one belief that you've changed in the last 5 years? It could be about success, work, or even about personal goals.
Yeah. In fact, there is one belief that I've changed based on the COVID. Unfortunately, we had COVID, but then we were able to do a lot of stuff online. So that was the biggest change in belief because I thought I could only perform and be useful to people on a presence basis. Now I understand that we can do a very good job, a very good connection based on the online. So that was my main belief based on works, but this is a milestone for me because I had the wrong belief that everything was working if we were in present. It's not true. Imagine this podcast. You are far away from me, 300 kilometers, and we are talking and we are connecting. And I don't think this is as lower quality than if I were there. So this is a strong belief that I'm changing. And I think companies are changing and helping people not to waste time in traffic, not to waste time, running from home to work and establishing the work-life balance. And people, they are more productive because they can do it. There are some kind of works that need to be done in presence, of course, but those that deal with computers and systems, they can be done far away.
And it will definitely open more doors to everyone. So what gives you hope about the future of leadership and human development?
Well, if you look back millions of years ago, I think that we have a progress. So why should I believe that the progress is not being our way of developing? My hope, as I wrote in the book, is that people are more aware of the first important company in the world, which is myself. Being aware of myself. This is the biggest company. And we have a lot of things to deal with, being disciplined, exercise, sleeping, eating healthy, and establishing relationships and positive thought. So my hope is that with the the major increase of books based on self-development, podcasts like this, trainings about coaching, about leadership, that we are not just a body without a soul. And my hope is that this increasing movement of everything that now is available worldwide through internet, through Mr. Google, through, the ChatGPT and other platforms of artificial intelligence, because I'm a fan of that. I'm not against that. I love it and I use it. We hope that accordingly to the evolution of the machines and the softwares and all the artificial intelligence that we are dealing with, we as humankind with a body, with cells, with blood, with muscles, with brain, with heart, also align with that development. And we need better human beings. And being better is being able to understand who are you, based on your values, your identity, on the way you express yourself to the world, through your work, through your family, through your social environment, through your hobbies. That's my hope, that people look at themselves instead of trying to compare themselves with everyone and thinking they are bigger or smaller. Just focus on yourself, be the best you can be so that you can give a lot to other people. There's no way this is coming back. We have a lot of progresses in medicine, in healthcare, in work, in online platforms. And so the best we can do is not aligning with the negative thoughts and believing just the world is going crazy and worse, because it's not true. And you have a book, Marco, which is Factfulness. The author has passed away, but he has done a lot of study highlighting the progress of the world. So that's my hope. We are into the progress mode, and I hope that the next generation will be more prepared to talk about energy, deeper connection, and being able to establish a good pathway and a legacy of understanding, of self-awareness, and also of engagement with animals, with plants, with other people, So self-development based on abundance for everyone. Everyone has his or her own skill, and just let people be themselves and let them work and shine, because we are here to live a beautiful life and not to be against our mission, our purpose, our identity. We are here to help others see the beauty of themselves also. And meanwhile, we see the beauty in us. Every time you appreciate somebody, it's because you have the inner codes of appreciation. If you think somebody is beautiful, it's because you have the codes of beauty inside of yourself. When you heal the way you look at people, you will heal yourself and you heal those around you. That's the progress we need to do.
Yeah, you mentioned it so well, and I loved it and I always say that life is beautiful, and I'm blessed to be alive. And so, what is coming as an exciting thing and chapter for you, and where can people follow your work?
Well, I'm all around. No, I'm joking. Well, yeah, people can connect to my Instagram account, which is Alexandra Lemos, my name, .premium, because the name of my company, Premium Coaching. They can find on LinkedIn. They search for Alexandra Lemos Premium Coaching. They find me on Facebook, the same, and they can email me, alexandra.lemos@premiumcoaching.pt. And they have a lot of movies, they have programs, they have my book. They find For Amor Corporativo, my book.
I will definitely share this information with the audience at the end of the video. And what's coming exciting for you? What's the next chapter?
Yeah, well, I'm on a health program, and I'm developing a program based on establishing the good health of our cell membranes. So I'm into the health, and I want to be an example, because I'm almost 55, Marco, and nobody would say, because I take care of myself, So next chapter is launching a book based on couple relationships. The second book. The next chapter will be establishing a new platform for my work, which is moving towards podcasts, and you are helping me. Thank you so much. A good heart is connecting my heart, and I appreciate that. So doing online training and being happy. The next chapter is that. I don't want to have more kids. I just want to be happy with my cats, with my husband, with my 2 daughters, and being a helping hand to everyone that is willing to deal with me on a respectful relationship.
I wish you the best of luck. So we come to the final part of the podcast. Please answer with just one word to wrap up the podcast. So one mindset shift that changed everything for you.
Yeah. Well, the mindset shift that changed everything for me was my shift in my career, because I was an engineer dealing with bridges and construction, and then I changed to coaching. So one of the changing was the accident at the bridge Ponte Vasco Gama that made me jump to another scenario, which is the healthy bridges between people.
And what do you do when you feel emotionally overwhelmed?
Well, first, I become aware of that. I mean, overload of, okay, then I stop. Yeah. I breathe and I focus on constructive situations, and also along the way being grateful to life. Because if I have a whole load of work, it's better than I don't have work, so I'm always saying that to me. Luckily, I have work. Don't worry. Stop, breathe, focus on solutions. That's it. And being grateful for being alive and having work.
One core value you've never compromised on.
Well, I love the value of integrity. because integrity is what you do when you are not being watched. So that's it.
A moment when living that value changed the course of a project or a relationship.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people that I was surrounded by, toxic people that wanted me to do stuff that was not based on integrity, I just said no. It strengthens my muscle to say no. Because being with self-love and being assertive is also the ability of saying no. You don't need to say yes to everybody. So you are constructing your boundaries. It happened a lot.
One habit that keeps you grounded.
When I wake up in the morning, I always say thank you for the life I have. So I think it is being grateful.
Being grateful. Very well. A small personal practice that brings you joy.
Oh my God. I love to enjoy nature, nature flourishing. And I also love, and this gives me peace, to put my eyes on my two cats in their purity. They are two males and they just like to roam each other and they are so sweet. And I say, oh my God, if humankind would do 10% of this, we would be better. That's an habit. I like to put my eyes on simple but joyful things.
A book that changed the way you think and lead.
There was a book that I read some years ago from Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now.
Wow. Yeah. Coffee, tea, or sparkling water?
You are giving me 3 examples of stuff that I love, But I would say that only 2 coffees and black tea for sure. I love it.
I'm a black tea too. I don't like coffee, but I'm a big tea guy.
I'm a black tea lover.
Okay. One quote that keeps you going.
Probably this is a very spiritual sentence, but the quote is, do to others what you like them to do to you. Just be fair. This is the golden rule. Be fair about that.
And what is your why in one sentence?
I love my why when helping others to find their why.
Yeah, lovely. So, Alexandra, thank you so much for showing us how leadership starts on the inside with presence, emotion, and a deep sense of purpose. Your work reminds us that doing what feels right isn't a luxury, it's a calling. So I have the final question to wrap up the podcast. Who would you nominate as a future guest for Values Beyond Time podcast?
Let me think about it, because do you know something? A lot of leaders, good ones, they integrated their words, their thoughts in my book. So if I choose one of those, they will kill me, the other ones. They will say, oh, you didn't choose me.
Then we go with the chain of kind of introduction. I can go to the next one. There is no problem.
I have a lot of them to give you. They are brilliant people in our society. They aligned with the corporate love concept because they do it on a daily basis into their practices. So I have a lot of them, They participated in my book. Even the president of Portugal wrote a sentence. It is at the cover of the book.
Wow, beautiful. Yes, I saw it.
Well, I have a lot of names.
Sure. I'll get back to you with some names because, my objective here is to be the voice of Portuguese, leaders, entrepreneurs, marketeers, and change makers. And I want to portray Portugal to the outside world and also present them to the local people to say that we have a lot of heroes, which they don't wear any cap, including yourself, which I love this conversation with you. And I want to share this with the people who do not speak Portuguese, because this is one of the very few English-speaking podcasts. So to our listeners, if you are on a journey of aligning who you are and how you work and lead, this episode is your gentle nudge to go deeper, slow down, and leave with more clarity and connection. Until next time, this is Marco Bagheri from Values Beyond Time. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Values Beyond Time. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite platform. For more conversations, visit valuesbeyondtime.com. Until next time, stay hungry.